Hello everyone, welcome to my free online tutorial for the new SAT Math section. The problem that you see on your screen right now is taken from the third practice test. This is problem number 28, section 4, calculator allowed. And this practice test is found in the new SAT study guide released by College Board. In planning maintenance for a city's infrastructure, a civil engineer estimates that starting from the present, the population of the city will decrease by 10% every 20 years. If the present population of the city is 50,000, which of the following expressions represents the engineer's estimate of the population of the city t years from now? So the first thing that you should understand is that the population here is decreasing, right? It's decreasing by 10% every 20 years, right? Every 20 years the population loses 10%. So that means 90% of the current population remains in 20 years. Okay, so suppose that we started with a population. Right now, in 20 years' time, we would have 90% of this population. Okay, so the simplest way, so now that you understand that 90% remains, you know that these two choices cannot work because there's a 0.1 and 50,000 is the original, is the initial population. So 0.1 suggests that there's 10% remaining, right? Because we're taking 0.1 times 50,000, we're taking the 10% of 50,000, but we should take 90%, right? We should take 90% of 50,000 because 90% of the current population remains after 20 years, right? So we already know that 0.1 cannot work. So these two choices, C and D, can work. So let's see which one of them makes sense. So we already see that 0.9 is listed for both, right? We know that 90% remains after 20 years each time. After each 20-year period, 90% of the current population remains. Okay, so that means that we can check the t now, right? We can check the t now. Now, every 20 years. So t years can be 20 years, right? So if we set t is equal to 20 here in this problem, for this one, that would be 400, right? But in 20 years time, if we set t is equal to 20, in 20 years time, we have to have a power of 1. So if we start with 50,000 today, we have to have a power of 1 in 20 years here in order for the 90% to remain. But if we set t is equal to 20 here, because we know in 20 years 90% remains. So if we set t is equal to 20, we will have 20 times 20, which is 400. So 0.9 will be raised to the 400th power instead of the power of 1. So this cannot possibly make sense, right? But let's check this one. Well, by process of elimination, this one is the only one that can make sense, but let's see how it goes, how it works. So if we substitute t for 20, we would have 20 over 20, which is equal to 1. Bingo, right? So we have a power of 1 here. Okay, and it can work for t is equal to 40 in 2 years, in 40 years time from now, right? Because 40 over 20 is 2, right? So you would have 90% of the population in 20 years, and then 90% of that population in 20 years time after that. So in 40 years time, you will have 50,000 times 0.9 raised to the second power, right? So this function makes complete sense with what is described here. Okay, so answer choice D. So if you'd like to solve tons of math problems, visit revisedsat.com. There's a prep system that I'd like you to join. If you need to solve, if you need to take exams under time conditions, especially, I will stress to you that you should join my prep system because I'm writing exams, right? I write exams myself. I love designing my own math problems. I'm a mathematician with a degree in math. I love mathematics. So join the prep system for free. You don't have to pay anything. There's a free trial. If you don't like it, you can cancel your PayPal subscription easily before your free trial is over. Start practicing right now for free. Just sign up and you'll get your username and password. Watch the video in detail on revisedsat.com. It will show you how your user account will look like. There's a detailed video there. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Good luck.